Hi, my name is Alexander Papanao, and in about 2 minutes, you're gonna watch the video, which is raw. Why though? Lies in the content. So that's why I decided to bring it out to you just as it is, because I believe it makes a point. I've always had this problem of, which is why I'm helping other people right now with. I've always had this problem of learning more and focusing more on that instead of the action taking. And I realized that I went back into that old pattern in this situation. I basically made the video you're about to see while having a full-blown power outage in Portland. Not even the cell towers were working, so no phones, nothing. Fortunately, I had some battery and my phone, just enough to use the flashlight and the tablet and the laptop. So, flashlight, phone, tablet for camera, and laptop for notes. I decided to make this in that moment because my first reaction was frustration. And that's what happened with most people when we have things happening that are out of our control, external circumstances. I have the power outage, was working on the script, and then I'm like, oh, I cannot do anything now. I guess I'll just read a book or do something else. But in that very moment is where you have that decision of either you go back to your old patterns or you find a way to make it work. You find a way to take action. So that's what I did in this case. I hope you'll enjoy the video. And there's one thing I really would like to pay attention to, which is every time I give some piece of content, for example, we're going to talk about behavior design, I want you to just pause for a second and just think how you can apply what I just gave you in action. So go ahead, video on.
If you want to finally get consistent, solid results with the courses you take, this might be the most important video you're ever going to watch. Here's what we're going to do in this video. First, we're going to prove that implementation coaching equals results from the courses you take. Second, if you've ever tried accountability or similar types of coaching services before and it didn't work for you, then it's probably because there are certain problems, certain myths in place that are holding you back. And in this video, we'll expose some of those myths and I'll show you how to fix them. Finally, I'm going to show you 3 specific things that you can do right away to create habits out of the practices you learn and to be able to implement more.
Let me explain how behavior works by teaching you the folk behavior model. This will take around 3 minutes. So behavior happens when 3 things come together: motivation, ability, and a prompt. You can visualize this model in 2 dimensions. Along the vertical axis, we have motivation, which can range from high to low. And along the horizontal axis, we have ability to do a behavior. And on the right is high ability, which I will label as easy to do. On the left side, we have the behaviors that are hard to do, low ability. So suppose you want someone to donate to the Red Cross, and I'm intentionally using a general example here. If they have high motivation, and if it's easy for that person to donate, they will be up here in the upper right corner of the model. So when the person gets prompted to donate, they will do the donation behavior. In contrast, if they have low motivation to donate and it's hard for them to do, they will be down here. So when we prompt this person, they will not donate, they won't do the behavior. There's a relationship between motivation and ability, which is represented by this line called the action line. When someone is above this line, when they're prompted to do a behavior, the behavior happens. When they're below, the behavior won't occur. What we need to do in this case is we would either need to increase the motivation or make it easier to do, or both. This model applies to all kinds of human behavior. And in summary, once again, motivation, ability, and a prompt come together at the same moment. That's when the behavior occurs. If any of the three elements is missing, the behavior won't happen. Let's suppose that someone is up here. They're motivated, but the behavior is hard to do. So we could either try to increase their motivation even more, or yes, we can help them to make the behavior easier to do.
What happens here with recruiting the help of a coach? You obviously have a level of motivation in place for wanting to take more action through the course that you take, but there's something wrong with the ability part most of the times, at least in the beginning. When a coach comes in, first of all, you start making it easier to do for you, because the number one problem with most course takers is that they feel overwhelmed, either because they feel they don't have the time to do the actions and the assignments required from the course they're taking, or they don't have the clarity in place as to what they're even supposed to do or where to start. Because sometimes courses can be very comprehensive, so you don't really know where to start, how to apply all those things. The coach bring you clarity through the right questions, so you can create an action plan, specific step-by-step things you can do, so you can actually apply those things. So there goes the overwhelm from not knowing where to start. Then, especially because this can be it can feel discouraging, and sometimes you can feel uncertain. So for example, if you're taking a marketing course, you might go through the materials, but you're not sure if it's going to work. You're not sure if this was even worth it, or the perfectionism starts kicking in and you're like, oh, is this right? Maybe it's not good enough. Maybe I should do something else. So all those things that stale down your process. The coach would come in here and help you work through those mental barriers, thought patterns that do not necessarily help you create results. So another part, if you're motivated by accountability, like if you find that when you have a person nearby, if you exercise with someone else and you find that it works for you, or when you're at work, when you're accountable towards someone, you tend to do your work and not procrastinate as much as in comparison to doing it alone. All those things are just indicators that you are motivated by external accountability. So that's an additional factor to consider. That means that your motivation is higher. And then even on the prompting part, because you would have a consistent checkup where you will be asked How are you doing? What progress have you making with the action steps we agreed on? So you're being prompted by a person. It's not the perfect prompt, but it's better than the alternative, which is notifications and just remembering it on your own to do it. That's why implementation coaching can be so powerful for bringing more results out of courses. Of course, there are some common problems that hold people back from actualizing the results that they could get by utilizing a service like that. And one that I hear frequently is as afterthought after we're starting coaching is I should be able to do this on my own, right? Which is understandable to think that because we live in a culture that really rewards and praises individual performance and sometimes looks down towards people that ask for help and sees them as weak or incompetent. And of course, you can do this on your own, but if you were to just compare it with onboarding the help of someone that is capable to propelling you forward in your goals, doing this alone can sometimes also feel lonely and more discouraging and overwhelming for that matter. Plus, why are you taking a course in the first place, right? To get a high quality knowledge in one place from a good source. So you're getting the help of someone. And if you really wanted to do it alone, you could go to a library and search for books on this topic, but still, or search online for information. Still, you're counting on someone else's knowledge and obviously your common sense and the sense of discernment to get what you want. There is no doing it on my own in the end of the day. With a personal coach, you get someone to be by your side, to support you in that learning journey, someone to really empower you to take action by creating clear steps forward, help you improve your habits around productivity, and at the same time let go of thought patterns that don't serve you in achieving those goals and holding you accountable towards those goals. The next one is, well, why get a coach when I could just get an accountability buddy or a friend could help me with that, or a fellow course taker? And I've done it myself. I was taking a meditation course a few years back and I had an accountability buddy. And if you haven't done it before, go ahead. I can guarantee you would not get the same level of support as you would by having a one-on-one coach that is dedicated to your success. You're literally paying the coach for that very reason, to help you succeed. It's very different in comparison to having just a buddy along the journey. It's nice, it's good, but it's not the same. The third thing, course takers, you might think maybe a coach might not necessarily know the specifics of the topic I'm learning on. So they wouldn't get me, they would get confused, or I would have to spend a lot of time repeating myself and explaining stuff, which if that was the case, I wouldn't want to do that. So implementation coaching is content agnostic, as I like to say, which means that a coach doesn't need to be an expert on a specific topic you're learning on. The coach needs to guide you through the right questions, through creating a space for you for self-reflection, and through the right strategies to help you increase your learning to action ratio and hold you accountable to those actions. He needs to basically be an expert in coaching and behavior change, not marketing, not spirituality, not health and wellness, or any other topic you're learning on. Plus, and some people may not necessarily agree, and obviously there is a benefit to a topic expert. There's this other perspective of it as well, which is by having someone who is not an expert in the specific topic you're learning on as a coach, you have a person coming in and supporting you that does not have preconceived notions on what you should be doing So there is no coercion towards a specific action that the other person thinks you should be doing. So it's more unbiased support. To understand a bit how you by yourself improve your action taking, let's go back to the behavior model. So say, for example, you are taking a mindfulness-based stress reduction course, okay? And in one of the videos, you have as assignment to do a 5-minute open monitoring meditation, which is basically you close your eyes and just being aware of your surroundings, your bodily processes, the sounds around you, sensations in your body, and so on. It's just being aware of all the things that are around. So that's one of your assignments. And you do it for a few days, feels good, but life happens. Work starts piling up, other things become a priority, and so this just gets pushed on the side. It starts feeling more effortful. In contrast, just listening to the next video in the course while, say, you're commuting or cooking or something, now that's easy because your motivation is higher. Remember, we were talking about the behavior model where we have motivation and ability. So your motivation is higher because you're bored and probably got nothing better to do while commuting. And then just listening, something that you're interested in, just listening, not having to do anything. That sounds easy, right? And guess what? In the same time, you're also making it immediately gratifying as an experience hearing that video, because as you go through the video, you hear some interesting tidbits here and there, and you go like, that's insightful, or yes, I agree to that. So there you go. Now you're getting yourself into this habit of binge watching educational content because of this feedback loop, this positive feedback loop. Because it's easy, you have high motivation there, and you're adding a positive emotion into the process, which helps wire in that habit. So you see, it's not really, and I'm referring to those of you that are more self-critical, it's not really you to blame. There are basically some fundamental parts of this that naturally creates a specific course of events for you, which is ending up binge watching. Now, the question is, how do you get yourself to take action again? Looking back to the model, you want to start by asking this one simple question, which is, what makes this behavior difficult to do when it comes to not taking action after listening to that video? And then you're asking, how can I make this easier to do? So it's first what makes it difficult and really nailing that down. And then how can you make that easier to do? This is just the starting point, but it's important to have in mind that is always a starting point. You want to start by looking at what makes this difficult to do and focus on the ability part, not the motivation, because motivation is like your party animal friend, right? It's great for a Saturday night out for drinks, but would you really trust him for taking you to the airport the next day on time? I wouldn't. Would you? Motivation by its nature has ebbs and flows, so it's not reliable. And it should not be the first thing to look at when things don't go according to plan. That's one thing that you can go ahead and implement right away. Looking at the things that you're not doing, the behavior that you want to do and you're not doing, and asking yourself that simple question, what made this difficult to do? And how can I make this easier to do? So that's our first thing. The second thing is really understanding what works for you, because accountability doesn't work for everyone. And you can find out if you are in that category of people that are driven by external accountability just by taking a step back, thinking back, and noticing if you were procrastinating less when there was someone else involved in what you were doing, when someone was holding you accountable, when a deadline was in place, when someone else was affected by your actions or lack thereof. And then for things like self-care, did self-care tend to go on the back burner when someone else asked you to do something? So if you identified yourself in any of those previous statements, then probably this type of coaching and in general accountability, which is why I'm mentioning to you, you might not want to sign up for coaching, but you would want to consider adding more accountability into your life, because this is a good idea for you if you're identified with those previous statements. If you are annoyed or reactive when someone tells you to do something, tell you their views or ask you about your progress, and you would probably not even call it ask about your progress. You would say that they're bugging me and asking me what am I doing. So yeah, you would probably have a hard time with accountability. But of course, if you were willing to put aside those emotions, you would still get value, and probably even more value if you had to go through this awareness process with your emotions and really get through them, in comparison to the first group of people. But yeah, it won't be as easy and it won't be as natural for you. So the last thing that you can go ahead and implement right away is really making sure that you inject reinforcement into your learning. I'll show you in a minute a specific technique so you can really grasp what that looks like, the celebration. You can really feel it in your body. So here's a video of me doing a celebration blitz. Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to do a celebration blitz. So you set a timer for 3 minutes, starting from now. There we are. And what we're doing is basically, I'm going to start cleaning around the room and demonstrate some ways to celebrate. Okay, so here we go. So what do I see here? Throw away. Yes! Another one. Great. Good job. What else we have here? Okay, as fast as we can. We want to amp up those emotions. Get that feeling of celebration going. Okay, all right. Well, I can place that here. I have no idea why the frying pan is here. Okay. As fast as we can. We still have 2 minutes. Let's prepare. Alright. Good job! Ready? What else? See, this is a great way, especially if you are not in the mood of doing chores, to do them. Yes! Okay. What else? Here. Is that here? Down in the drawer. Back there. Okay, what else? 2 scissors. All right. Okay, finish the work. I can close that. Place it back here. Good job. Anything else? All right. Place this one in the bag. All right, I might even finish in less than 3 minutes. We still have 1 minute left, and I already feel pretty good. So you can see that even within 3 minutes, you can do so much more. And well, that's not the main point, but as you're celebrating again and again
finding various ways to celebrate naturally for you. And you can find ways to celebrate just by thinking of how you react if you're watching a football game, for example, or if you're not into sports. You can think about how you react when you get a great email, get new sales coming in, get promotion or anything. How do you react in that moment? What's your natural celebration? That's what you want to find. And if you're not subverted, extravagant kind of celebrator, you can just have some internal celebrations. I know a lot of people that are just imagining the ka-ching sound in the rain or the sound of a crowd roaring and things like that. So yeah, find your celebrations, do these celebration greets, and just see how you feel afterwards. Just check in with your body and with your mental state and see how that makes you feel. All right, thanks.
Okay, I hope you had fun watching that video and looking at me doing weird stuff in my room. I basically had to make up garbage so I could do that. Yeah, I took stuff out of trash can and threw them around, so I had things to put away. I know it's weird, but I think it helped with making it clear as to what I'm trying to show you. The process you just watched is important because this celebration, this immediate feedback, this immediate positive reinforcement, it sends a signal to your brain. This behavior, like the cleaning, right, is something desirable. It's something you want to be repeated. And over time, you will grow a positive bias towards that action. And that's the same thing with your learning. You're making time in your calendar, putting into action a certain thing from the course you're learning. Good job. That's what you say to yourself, or your whatever natural celebration you have. It's like all those small steps to lead to more action taking, you should be celebrating them. And it's not about making it willy-nilly and fluffy and positive and whatever. It just works. It's positive reinforcement. You're giving a signal to your brain that this is something you should be doing. So there you go. Find your natural ways and do more positive reinforcements. All those things that we talked about and so much more, to say the least, those are things that we will do if we are to do coaching together. With unlimited 20-minute accountability coaching sessions, you will have someone by your side helping you, holding you accountable, and stay on track. Plus, you will learn the skill of habit formation, better time management skills, and behavior change skills, which is the most important part, that will stay with you for life. And you will be able, obviously, to apply them in other areas of your life. And that's usually the first thing you tend to hear is, I started doing it for this very narrow, specific thing, which is learning. But then, because I learned all these behavior design skills, all these habit formation skills and so on, then that creates a ripple effect in other areas. In this coaching program, as I said, you get unlimited 20-minute accountability coaching sessions for 6 months, learning through practice and habit formation skills that will stay for you for life. You get also access to various programs, workshops, and retreats that are exclusively available to pre-existing clients. And you also get free access to an online version of the Tiny Habits for Productivity workshop for you and your organization, whether that is for-profit or non-profit. And of course, there are some limitations placed with the size of it, but that's something we can discuss if there's something that interests you. So if this sounds interesting to you and something you're ready to do in order to achieve your goals, you can sign up by pressing the "Yes, I want this" button. It's pretty obvious. It's like a big red button. Yeah. You press the button, fill your information, card details, so you can save your spot for the program. And do know that I intentionally limit the amounts of spots that are available to the program at any given time, because I really want to be able to give my full focus on you and to remember the things that we're saying in our sessions, so I can always support you in the best way possible, even beyond our time together in sessions. So here's a recap of what we said in this video. We went through the behavior model, which basically is true for all types of human behavior. Motivation plus ability plus a prompt creates a behavior. We talked about some common problems that people tend to face when they've tried out accountability coaching services and so on. And then we look at some solutions that you can implement right away, understanding if accountability is for you or not. Looking at how you can implement the behavioral model into your learning process so you can take more action, and adding more positive reinforcement into your learning. We also talked about the coaching program offering, which has unlimited 20-minute accountability coaching sessions for 6 months. And I know you might be wondering, like, how can he offer unlimited sessions? That must be like, I don't know, 20,000 or something. This must be really expensive to be able to do that, right? Unlimited sessions. But it's not. And if you go down and read the rest of this page, you will understand why. So yeah, unlimited sessions, learning behavior chains and habit formation skills, access to programs and retreats only available to pre-existing customers, and free online Tiny Habits program for productivity. So that's all the things to get out of the program. And the deadline for signing up is on Monday, because this goes by cohort. So it will actually, there won't be any more spots left. Our spots are limited intentionally so we can have more focus on you and attention on your journey. There are many great coaches out there, right? That's something very difficult to find, to get that 100% of focus and attention. So yeah, if this sounds something you are up and ready to sign up for, click the red button below that says, "Yes, I want this," and save your spot to get started. See you on the other side. Thanks.